everyone, welcome back to my class. This is Rumana Ali. I hope you all are fine. In today's session, we are going to learn about where is blood formed. So in the previous sessions, I already explained you that blood has two components. One is liquid component, that is called as our plasma, and the different cells are also present in the blood. That cells are of different types like red blood cells, white blood cells, and even platelets. So in this way, blood has two components, plasma and cellular component. So where the plasma is formed and where these cells are formed, now we are going to discuss about this. So in the first chapter, that is in the process of digestion, we have seen that as soon as the food enters into the stomach, the digestion process starts. So during the process of digestion, along with the food, the water is also get absorbed. The water is also absorbed by the stomach. Even the small intestine also helps in the absorption of water, whereas the large intestine also helped in the absorption of water, whereas the small intestine also helps in the absorption of water, as well as the different ions can also be absorbed by all these different digestive parts. So whatever the watery liquid that is absorbed by these digestive parts, it is going to be mixes up in the blood. It is going to form a liquid component of the blood, that is plasma. So the water is coming from the digestive system and it is becoming a liquid component of our blood, that is plasma. Now, from where the cellular components are going to come, where these cellular components are formed. So, in our body, bones are present. Many long bones are also present. So, in the long bones, the cellular components can be formed. Thus, red blood cells, white blood cells can be formed in the long bones of our body. The long bone which is present in our body, it shows this kind of structure. Inside, the internal space of all the bones is hollow. It is empty, and there the cellular components are going to form. So, let us take the example of one bone. This is our long bone. So, in the middle space of the bone, yellow color matter is present. In this way, this yellow colored substance is called as yellow bone marrow, and at the end, at both the ends of a bone, you can find the presence of some round red colored substances, and these red color substances that are found at both the ends of this bone can be termed as red bone marrow. So basically, in the bone, two types of marrows are found. One is red bone marrow and the other one is yellow bone marrow. The main function of the red bone marrow is in the process of RBC formation. Red bone marrow helps in the formation of red blood cells. Red blood cells can be formed in the red bone marrow of our bone. So in this way, red blood cells are formed. And along with the red blood cells, some white blood cells are also formed in the bone marrow. So in this way, cellular components of the blood are formed in the bone. What about yellow bone marrow? How it helps? What is the function of yellow bone marrow? If you met an accident, in that accident, huge amount of blood has flows out of your body, and now your body requires more and more amount of red blood cells and white blood cells in its blood. So in that emergency situations, yellow bone marrow activate itself. Yellow bone marrow helps in the formation of red blood cells. It initiates the process by which the red blood cells are formed with the help of yellow bone marrow too. So yellow bone marrow can form the cellular component of the blood only in emergency situation, but the red blood cells and the different cellular component of our blood like platelets and WBC, all these cellular components of the blood can be formed in the bone, in the red bone marrow of the different bones that are found in our body. So we are getting the plasma by the absorption of water and ions that takes place in the digestive system, and the cellular components like red blood cells, white blood cells and platelets, these are the different blood cells that are formed in the red bone marrow, and these cells are transferred to the blood. So in this way, blood is ready and blood is formed by the absorption of water and ions by the digestive system, and also the different cells, different blood cells are formed in the long bones, that too in the red bone marrow of our bones. So in this way, plasma and cellular component both gets together and it results in the formation of a blood. So in the blood, plasma and different red blood cells, white blood cells and platelets are present that are formed in the bone. So in the last session, I have explained you that 55% of the plasma is found in our blood and remaining 45% of the cellular component is found in our blood. So that 45% of the blood is composed of these cells. Let us see their composition. Red blood cells. When we see the composition of red blood cells, then it will be 5 to 5.5 million per millimeter cube, and white blood cells are 6 to 8,000 per millimeter cube, and platelets are 1.5 to 3.5 lakh per millimeter cube. So out of all these different cells, WBC are less in number and red blood cells are more in number. They are counted in millions. So these are the different types of blood cells that are present in our blood and that forms the composition of our blood. Now we are going to discuss about red blood cells in detail, how they are formed. We have seen that in the bone marrow the red blood cells are formed, but how the formation takes place, let us see this. So red blood cells are also called as erythrocytes as they are red in color. Let us see the formation. This is our bone marrow. For example, this is our bone marrow. In the bone marrow, some specialized cells are present, and these cells are called as stem cells. They are very special because they have the ability to divide continuously. They can divide continuously. So continuously dividing stem cells are present in our bone marrow and they are called as pluripotent. Pluripotent is the term that is used for continuous divisions. So in the plant tissues, you might have studied in your lower classes that meristematic tissues are present that are continuously dividing cells. Likewise, in our body, stem cells are present that are continuously dividing, and these cells are responsible to form different types of cells. Like they can give rise muscle cells, and they can make neurons, or they can make our different blood cells also. So stem cells are pluripotent. They undergo several division and they can divide continuously to form different cells of our body. This stem cell, it undergoes division and it gives rise to these two stem cells. Again it undergoes division and then they give rise to the other cells. In that other cells, some of these cells will be the cells that are required by our body. They may be muscle cells, they may be nerve cells, or they may be blood cells. And some of the cells will again become stem cells so that it can divide again. In this way, the cell division takes place. The stem cells undergo cell division. So for example, if this cell undergoes the division and it results in the formation of a cell which has a nucleus in between. So in between this cell a nucleus is present, and this kind of cell is called as erythroblast, which is immature. This erythroblast is immature. When it gets mature, at that time the nucleus that is present inside the erythroblast, it comes out of the cell and it becomes biconcave shaped cells without any nucleus. So in this way the red blood cells are without nucleus, and the nucleus of the erythroblast would come out of the cell during the maturation. So after the maturation it becomes erythrocytes that are nothing but our red blood cells. Once the red blood cells are formed in the bone marrow, they can be sent into the blood. So when the red blood cells enter into the blood, these red blood cells, they flow along with the plasma, and while flowing they need to move through blood veins and blood capillaries. So while moving through the blood capillaries, as the blood capillaries are very thin, while flowing into the blood capillaries, the plasma membrane, the membrane which is present around these red blood cells, this is called as plasma membrane. So plasma membrane of the red blood cells would get ruptured. So the plasma membrane would ruptures while flowing into the blood plasma, especially when it reaches the blood capillaries. When it is going into the blood capillaries, at that time they need to move through a little space. So in that case, the plasma membrane of the red blood cells would rupture. After 120 days, the red blood cells are continuously flowing in the blood plasma, and after 120 days, the plasma membrane of the red blood cells gets totally ruptured. It gets totally damaged, and this is how the death of the red blood cells takes place. After 120 days, the red blood cells that are found, that are present, they move to the organ called spleen. So they move into the spleen. Spleen can act as a storage. It can act as a storage for red blood cells. But besides that, spleen is the graveyard of our red blood cells. Once the red blood cells gets totally ruptured, the dead bodies of the red blood cells moves into the spleen. So the spleen is called as the graveyard of the red blood cells. And in addition, it is also acting as a storage place for the red blood cells. So here the dead bodies of the red blood cells may be found in the spleen. These red blood cells, through different blood capillaries and through different veins, it can enter into the liver. Once the dead bodies of the red blood cells enter into the liver, there are some specialized cells that are found in the liver. We call these cells as Kupffer cells. So Kupffer cells are present in our liver. What is the function of these Kupffer cells? Let us see. Once the dead RBCs enter into the liver, these Kupffer cells, they engulf the dead bodies of the red blood cells. So they are also called as phagocytes. Phagocytes means the cells which can engulf the waste material or which can engulf the foreign particles. So this dead RBCs are waste products that are flowing in our blood. It needs to be removed from our blood. So the dead red blood cells can be engulfed by the specialized cells that are present in our liver, and we call that cells as Kupffer cells. So Kupffer cells are phagocytic in nature. This is how the life cycle of red blood cells can be seen, where the red blood cells are first formed from the stem cells in the bone marrow. After it gets matured, it is sent into the blood vessels and it can flow into the blood up to 120 days. After 120 days, the plasma membrane of the red blood cells gets ruptured, and that ruptured red blood cells are sent into the spleen. Once the red blood cell gets transferred into the spleen, then from the spleen it enters into the liver, where the phagocytosis takes place. The dead red blood cells are engulfed by the specialized Kupffer cells that are found in our liver. This is how the red blood cells formation takes place, and this is how the life cycle of red blood cells can be seen in our body. The next topic is WBC, white blood cells, which are also called as leukocytes. As they are white in color, we name them as leukocytes. Leuko means white and cytes means cells. So leukocytes are our white blood cells. These white blood cells are classified into two main types, granulocytes and agranulocytes. Granulocytes are again classified into three types, eosinophil, basophil and neutrophil. Now let us see their structure. Based on their structure only, they are named as, based on their staining property, actually based on their staining property, they are named by these different names. So eosinophil are the white blood cells that can be stained only in the presence of a stain called eosin. So when you put eosin on your blood, then some cells, they show reddish orange color. That are nothing but our eosinophil cells that can be stained only by the stain, that can be dyed only by the stain called eosin. And when you look at the structure of eosinophils, then they are round in shape and cytoplasma is found inside the cell, and even the nucleus is also present. In all the cells, the nucleus is found, right? Except red blood cells of our body, matured red blood cells. So eosinophil also showed the nucleus, but it is not round in shape. Instead, it is showing some headphone like shape. They are showing two lobes, and hence we call this type of nucleus as bilobed nucleus. So eosinophil shows bilobed nucleus, and they are 2 to 3%. They comprises 2 to 3% of WBC, and some small granules are also found in the eosinophil. Besides this, basophil are also present. Basophil are the cells that can be stained by using the basic dyes. So when you stain the cells by using basic dyes, they appear blue in color, and these cells are nothing but are basophils. They comprises 0.5 to 1% of the white blood cells. And neutrophils, why we call them as neutrophils? Because they can accept the eosin stain also, and they can accept the basic stain also. That means they can stain themselves, they can give color themselves both in the presence of eosin as well as if we pour any basic dyes. So basically, basic and acidic, both the dyes can stain these type of cells, and we call these cells as neutrophil, as both acidic and basic dyes can be used for their staining. When you see the structure of neutrophil, then they do not show only 2 lobes. Many lobes are present. Many lobes are found in the nucleus of neutrophil. As many lobes are present in the nucleus, we call this type of nucleus as polymorphonucleus, and we call this neutrophils as polymorphonuclear leukocyte. In short, we can say it as PMNC. It stands for polymorphonuclear leukocytes. These are the different granulocytes. Agranulocytes are also present in this type of white blood cells. There are no granules present. They are of 2 types, monocyte and lymphocyte. Monocyte comprises 6 to 8% of the agranulocytes, and 20 to 25% of lymphocytes are present as agranulocytes in our blood. So monocytes shows the kidney shaped nucleus, and lymphocytes shows a big nucleus. So a big nucleus is present in the lymphocytes, whereas kidney shaped nucleus is present in our monocyte. This is about the structure of granulocytes as well as agranulocytes, which together forms white blood cells. So that's all for today. In the next class, I'll explain you the functions of all these white blood cells. So meet you next class. Goodbye.